How's it going, everyone? I'm Salzy, and today I'm going to be sharing my experience of getting a medical marijuana card. I want to put a disclaimer before I speak on all of this. I live in the US, and each state has its own laws on recreational and medical marijuana. Where I live, both recreational and medical marijuana use is legal. Minors, 18 to 20-year-olds, and 21-plus-year-olds can all apply for a medical card. Each age range will determine how easy it is to become a medical patient. Pediatric patients have the most difficulty due to people's hesitancy around children being exposed to psychoactive drugs. For context, I am 18 years old, so I have it easier than minors, but not quite as easy as 21-year-olds. Okay, so now let's talk about the process of getting my medical card. The most common way people apply for medical cards is through third parties, typically online providers that are basically medical card farms. There are entire companies built around getting people medical cards, like that's the only service they provide. The way that most of these online companies work, at least where I live, the companies only make money when they actually approve the person to get a medical card. They'll sell themselves as saying you only have to pay if you get approved for the medical card. So essentially, they only make real money when the customer gets approved. I'm sure this encourages the employees of the service to approve as many people as possible, which might be a little sketchy. I won't be saying the name of the company I went through, but I will speak about the process from start to finish. I chose to do everything online. There was an option for me to meet with one of the employees in person, but since they had the telehealth option, I took it. I went on the website and scheduled an appointment. I basically just had to type in where I live, and that brought up a bunch of appointment options. They had a ton of open appointments, so I had a ton of options. I chose an appointment 3 days out. Once I selected my time slot, I had to pay. They request the money up front, but if you don't get approved for the medical card, you'll get a full refund. Once I placed my appointment, they sent me some instructions to fill out an online medical history form. For this part, you have to fill out some general information like your age and gender. Then the bulk of the form asks you about why you are requesting to use medical marijuana. You list out all of the reasons you might benefit from marijuana. This can be physical illnesses like chronic pain, but you could also qualify due to mental health reasons. If you have multiple conditions, I would highly recommend you list them all, because that will increase your odds of getting approved. Once you list all of your medical conditions, there will also be a place to type in how these medical conditions affect your life. It's important that you indicate that the condition or conditions you have are debilitating. If you just say, my leg kinda hurts sometimes, but I can still walk and perform normal activities, you probably won't get approved. If you make it seem like you can take some Advil and walk it off, they won't see a reason to give you a medical card. When I filled out this form, they kind of asked a lot of the same questions, just worded slightly differently. Be consistent throughout your answers, reiterating why marijuana specifically would help you. Once the form is filled out and you have inputted answers to increase your odds, the next step is to meet with the doctor. I'm not BSing you when I say this appointment was 7 minutes. I logged onto the Zoom a few minutes early and waited for the doctor to join. When she logged on, she verified my identity. They needed my full name, date of birth, and the last 4 digits of my social security number. The entire time we were in the session, she was just looking over that paperwork I completed earlier. She verified the conditions I have that led to me considering medical marijuana. She really didn't press me about any of my medical conditions. After verifying this information, she didn't even tell me I got approved. She just started telling me how the medical card works and implied that I got approved. She gave me some general information. I would immediately get a temporary medical card online, but in about 3 to 4 weeks I would get my permanent card. She explained that I'll have to renew the card every year for the same amount of money as I paid here, $200. With my medical card, I can purchase 10 ounces of weed every 60 days, and 10 ounces is a lot of weed. For anyone wondering, that's about 283 grams of weed every 2 months. Normally, there's a super high tax on weed if you're a recreational user. However, if you have a medical card, you do not have to pay any tax. Where I live, that's a huge relief because the taxes here are insane. We only talked for 7 minutes, and she ended the Zoom by saying I would be getting more instructions in my email. So we log off, and a few minutes later, I get a few emails to set up my medical marijuana account with my state government. I had to fill out a few forms with general information like my name, date of birth, social security number, and where I live. I was able to get access to my temporary medical card, which I printed at home. My state offers medical patients to assign to caregivers, and caregivers are people who can buy weed for the patient. Each caregiver will also be sent a medical marijuana card, which they can use to buy weed for the patient. I decided to assign my parents as caregivers in the event I was in too much pain to drive to a dispensary. This process was also pretty easy. I just had to go through a few forms, and both of my parents filled out a few things on their end. At this point, on the same day that I had that appointment, I was now able to buy weed. As you can tell, the process was super easy and super fast. The last thing I needed to do was wait for my official card, but I was pretty much all set to start buying and using weed. Now, I want to draw some attention to this ease. There's some debate about how easy medical marijuana should be to get. As you heard, my story paints a picture that getting my medical card was really not a hassle. The cost was relatively low. I only had to pay $200. There was never any debate about whether or not I qualified. The doctors didn't bat an eye about any of my medical conditions. I personally don't think getting a medical card should be difficult. There are tons of studies on the efficacy of cannabis for medical use. For some people, it's a miracle drug. Still, there are some people who think getting a medical card should be more difficult. I'm interested to hear other people's opinions on this issue, so please leave a comment sharing your view about this. I think it's a discussion that needs to be ongoing. Anyway, now that I have my medical card, I've visited a few dispensaries. Most of the dispensaries in my area offer a few specials or discounts for new or renewing medical patients. Usually the deal is that you can get a few vouchers for half off when you spend $100 or more. They run this deal to try to make the money you spent on getting the medical card worth your while. So when you drop $200 to get a medical card, it essentially pays itself back when you purchase your weed. I've been taking advantage of some of these deals to try different products to see what works best for my pain. I've tried topicals, edibles, vapes, and flowers of different strains. I'm going to talk more in depth about my opinion on these products in a separate video. So as you can see, in my experience, getting a medical card was easy. The ease of this process will vary state to state and country to country, but if you think cannabis will help you, I would highly recommend giving it a try. I went in thinking I was going to be denied, but everything worked out. I'm really interested to hear other people's experiences applying for a medical card, so if you've gone through the process, tell me about it in the comments below. I think that's where I'm going to end this video, but I will have more videos out soon that talk more about how I use cannabis and how it affects me. If you liked this video or are interested in hearing more about my experience, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.